Bruh. Yo, what's up, everybody? If you hear some noise in the background, I'm cooking up spaghetti in the microwave. But, this video, I wanted to talk about something that is, like, hella weird. So, I guess I'll start off by saying, any, like, weird thing that sounds like, traumatic is not actually that traumatic to me. I've learned to not hide pain, excuse me. I've learned to, ignore pain and not allow it to hurt me. But with that being said, today I'm talking about the loss of a friend, a companion. No. I am somebody who's lost a lot of best friends. I've had a lot of best friends, you know? And, it's like a fucked up sentence, because it's like, when you say best friends, plural, you know, that implies that, like, there's a lot of people that have left you in the dust. And that's happened. I think I've gone through, like, 4 or 5 best friends that, like, I considered, like, those were the people that I did everything with, you know? And, they, at some point, either abandoned me, or they just stopped talking to me completely. You know? I'll try to reach back out to them, and then they never say anything to me again. You know, and it's, they either ghost me, or sometimes, in rare cases, this has only happened, like, maybe one or two times, somebody, like, pretended as if they had no idea who I was. Which is, like, it's like, dude, that's really fucked up. And, I say it, like, so nonchalantly and, like, with a little bit of a like, laughter, but it's mainly because, again, like, I've just learned to adjust or adapt, you know, like, I used to have really bad abandonment issues, but I'm kind of just a person that, like, when something happens and it sucks, I kind of dwell on it for maybe a day, maybe a couple hours, and depending on what it is, and then I just go back to work, you know. I just distract myself from the fact until eventually it just doesn't hurt me anymore. But the reason I'm making this video is because of something that actually happened to me, or I guess that's, my spaghetti's done. Something that's been happening to me for the last, I would say maybe like couple months. There's this guy that I know who, I would say now I used to consider a good friend. And for the sake of this story and the whole thing, and for privacy, I'm going to call him Kevin. For no reason, no particular reason at all. Kevin is one of those people who's, not to be political, I don't really get political, but, like, you can tell that he's really, like, left-leaning, like, and I say that mainly because that's kind of what his personality is. He's, like, really careful about offending people, and he's really, like, he's a really, like, thoughtful person, I would say. Very thoughtful. You know, somebody that's, like, very conscious of the things that he says, and I could really appreciate that. And he was like that for, you know, a solid 2 years up until recently, when it seems like out of nowhere he completely changed. Like, completely different. Like, I'm not saying, oh, he changed, like, because, you know, everybody changes. Everybody goes through phases and comes out of them, and everybody evolves. I'm not saying it's a problem that he changed. I'm glad that he changed, but it's just that he changed so drastically in such a short amount of time that it almost feels wrong. Like, something's up with this guy, because, you know, like, just a couple months ago, he was this guy like, hey, dude, how are you doing, bro? Like, you know, like, super, like, hippie-like, you know? Not to be, like, no offense to him. I don't know if that's, like, an offensive way of addressing him, but he was definitely very hippie-like, you know? He was just the guy that was very chill, and he was really nice to everybody, right? And, I don't know, now, and I say now, like, in the past, like, couple months, I've seen him very drastically change from that to very, like, I guess, like, abrasive. I don't know how to describe it. He started wearing a lot more raunchier clothing. Like, he used to wear like, I don't know, like hippie-esque clothing. Like, he would wear really baggy like boho pants type pants, and like he would wear like weaved clothing and quilts and shit. He was a very, very like outdoorsy looking guy, right? Very like down to earth type of person, right? You know what I'm sure a lot of you guys already can picture who I'm talking about. But now he dresses in like darker clothes and denim and fucking, I sound like an old person talking about this, but and the reason I talk about his change in fashion, it might seem minuscule, but it's like this guy, like, he didn't just change the way he dressed, it seems like he changed the way that he acts. Because I've invited him out to all kinds of different cool things. I'm like, hey dude, like, do you have anything going on after work today? Like, we should hang out, or like we should go do this. And every single time it's always, oh, sorry, I have plans that day. And I've invited him because if you see my other videos, I've talked about like going to punk shows and stuff. I love seeing punk music, and I love listening to it, and I love going to bars and just watching these awesome local bands. But I've invited him out to at least 5 or 6 of those, and every single time, coincidentally, it seems that he's just got plans that day for no particular reason. He doesn't specify in any way, and for the first couple times, it's like, okay, whatever, you know, like, that happens. Like, sometimes people have plans on the same day that you want to do something with them. It's fine. But now it's almost like you can't even really hide it now, because he's just so, like, standoffish now. Like, I used to be able to have interactions with him that were just like, yo, what's up? What's up, Kevin? How you doing, dude? And he would give me the same energy back. But just today, actually, because we work in the same building, we work in the same workplace, and I passed by him. He was on this couch that, you know, and he was like slunched over or whatever, and he was kind of sunk into the couch on his phone, and I passed by him and I was like, yo, what's going on, Kevin? How you doing, dude? And he like, oh, it's so weird, bro. He didn't move at all. He didn't move a single muscle, except for his eyes. He just looked up at me with the same blank, like, look on his face. And he's like, sup? And I was like, you good? Like, how's it going, dude? Like, he's like, oh, I'm good. And then that was it. Like, and I started walking away, but he was like, how are you doing? But I started walking away because it, like, I think anybody would get the vibe that, like, this guy doesn't want to talk to you. You know, and it just felt so weird. And I don't know, I started really considering the possibility, like, what if this guy straight up hates my guts? You know, like, and I know it sounds like I'm like a gay, like, parasocial relationship, but it's not that. It's just, I thought this was somebody that cared about me, I guess, and it really seems like he doesn't care about me. And then the other thing too is, a little later on that day, I texted him. Actually, not too long after that, like maybe a half an hour after that, like, interaction, if you can call that an interaction. I texted him on Instagram, and I said, hey, like, I was just curious, like, do you, like, not like me for some reason? Like, is there any reason why maybe you would dislike me? Because, you know, basically ran through the whole thing with him, and I didn't get anything back, which was weird to me, because anytime that I've texted him, he's responded, like, within a relatively quick time frame, like, within at least, like, an hour of me texting that, so, like, most of the time less. So, and it's not like he doesn't check his phone or he's not on Instagram, because I see him active on Instagram every day, and I could always see him viewing my stories, like, you know, if you view your stories, like, you can actually see who looks at them, and he's always like almost the first person to view my stories out of everybody, right? And so I thought it was weird that pretty much I have not gotten a response back from him at all, like, the entire day. And I'm thinking, there's no way in hell he did not see it, right? And you don't just, like, I don't know. To me, it's fucking weird to consider the possibility that he didn't see it somehow. Because I know he did. Yeah, I'm assuming he, like, read the message without actually opening it. Because I know you can do that on you know, most phones. And, and so, I'm just kind of, at this point, it's less about him specifically. And it's more about, like, just, like, the dishonesty of everybody that I meet. You know what I mean? Like, I can sort of tell who's a real friend and who isn't, but, you know, it really felt... it's not that... I'm honestly more frustrated than I am hurt. I feel like most people would be hurt by, like, somebody that they considered a friend just suddenly disliking them for some reason. Enough to where, you know, they're just looking at this person with a mug on their face and barely giving them any energy whatsoever. I'm not demanding anything, but I'm just saying, it's like, I'm saying, like, yo, what's up? What's up, Kevin? How you doing? And then I ask you how you're doing. If you're not actually doing very well, I would appreciate a little honesty. Like, actually, I'm not doing so well, you know? And we can talk about it or not, you know? But it's really, I think that the main thing that I focus on here in this particular case is the dishonesty. You know, I wanted to be honest and let him know how I felt about our relationship and how much I felt like maybe he doesn't like me, you know? For whatever reason, as a friend, I thought maybe that would be a good thing to do. But then it seems like he's being a little dishonest by not responding to that, which, you know, that's neither here nor there. I mean, I guess the main thing is just like, I would rather, if you dislike me for any reason, even if you hate my guts for any reason, I'd rather you just tell me that instead of making me guess, you know what I mean? Because I'm somebody that doesn't have a lot of friends, you know what I mean? I've never had a lot of friends, you know, and I've lost more friends than I've ever gained. And I think it's pretty apparent when you consider the fact that, like, a lot of the people that I used to consider my best friends in the whole world, I don't even know who they are anymore. You know what I mean? I genuinely, like, a lot of these people, they're just different people. I've had people that, like, I used to love hanging around and being with that don't even fucking ask me how I'm doing, you know? And I used to be really upset by this, you know? It used to be a thing that I was like, why can't, you know, why don't I deserve the same honesty? You know what I mean? And, I think, bottom line for me is just, like, just move forward. If somebody doesn't like me, I don't give a shit. Like, I genuinely would rather eat my own boogers than dwell on the possibility that somebody hates me. You know what I mean? That somebody doesn't like me. Because, again, for me, I don't know, I feel like I have a mental disorder that basically makes me not care about most people, which I know sounds really sad, but it's honestly true. Like, most of the time, there's not a lot of people in my life that I have a lot of regard for, that I think super highly of, and that's not because I'm heartless. It's mainly, I think, due to the fact that I've lived as an introvert my entire life, and that's how I grew up, and because of that, that's how I am as an adult. And I'm single and I live alone, and so I don't know, I think these days I'm less upset by losing a friend because I've lost so many. I'm more or less just like, I just want to know why. You know what I mean? I'm more curious than just pissed off or upset like I used to be. Like, I used to be super emo. Used to have this big, huge emo phase where, I just hated everybody and then, like, burned the school down type shit, you know? And I don't know. I feel like I'm a pretty nice person. I think a lot about the people that I actually do appreciate and love and care about. And when those people turn out to seemingly hate me, there's some part of it that does suck. But you know what? All I can do is push forward. I can't change the views of anybody. I don't think that's possible in any way, you know? I mean, there's a chance of it, but I can't just make somebody like me that doesn't like me. I really can't. There's nothing I can do there. Especially if I've done everything that I can to be as good as possible to that person and be a loyal, good friend. I don't know. To me, it's like, if you don't like me, fine. I don't need you in my life, you know? And I know that, again, that's like a really pessimistic and kind of a sad way to view the world, but it's less like a view of the world and more of just like a sentiment. Like, listen, if you don't like me, that's fine. I can't fix that, you know? And so I'm not gonna waste my time and my energy and my mental capacity trying to please you, because then that would just go against who I am, you know? But yeah, I guess like the moral of this whole thing, and so that I can close this up and get to my spaghetti before it gets cold. The moral of this whole thing is really just pay attention to the people that actually care about you instead of the ones that pretend, you know? Notice, always make sure that you notice false positivity. When somebody pretends like they care about you and they you know, want to be friends with you. I feel like they're pretty easy to spot in the wild, but the biggest thing I think is to just don't let it get you down too hard, because this one person may not like you, but that's okay, because if that person doesn't like you, there's gonna be somebody else that will. I guarantee that, and that's why I'm not so upset about this, is because Kevin is not the only person in the entire world that I can make friends with. There's so many other people, you know? And in fact, I've actually been making good strides, hanging out with certain people that I like, that I didn't used to really hang out with too much before. And, you know, I went to a concert with one of my other friends, and I've been talking really, like, chum-like to one of my other buddies at work, who's really cool. But anyway, I think I'm going to cut it here so I can eat my spaghetti before it's cold. And with that being said, thanks for watching this, and thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you're awesome. I'm going to be doing more long play videos here soon. And if you want to hear more of my opinions on stuff like this, more philosophical videos, let me know. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. Have a great day.